I went to the University of Wyoming, and I've never been anywhere where I got made fun of for going to Wyoming by everybody in Nebraska, and everybody in Wyoming made fun of me for being from Nebraska. You know, just because we're out here in the Midwest doesn't make us dumb. I tell you what, I'd put our work ethic against any company in the world. Our employees, they're independent, they work hard. You know, we don't deal with the entitled crap, you know. Out here, we do for ourselves. You don't rely on the government or anybody else. There was a guy one time, he said, "Where are you from?" And I said, "I'm from Nebraska." "Never been there. Never want to go." And I looked at him and I said, "That's great, because we don't want you." And I might have had an expletive in there. And he's like, "Huh? We don't want Californians moving into Nebraska. We like it." I had a boss one time who said, "If I hit the lottery, I'm going to buy Nebraska and put a fence around it."
So what makes a good bullet or a bad bullet completely depends on the job of the bullet. Generally, you want consistency though, because you're going to continue to shoot and you want the same thing to happen every single time. Hopefully that's the right thing. It's successful in its performance with the job that you're trying to do, but it really depends on the job that you're trying to do. I'm loading up some test rounds. Doing a dispersion test with .308 Winchester, so testing a couple different propellants. And instead of having them loaded like on the factory floor, we can, load up each batch individually with each powder that we're looking for, and we don't have to switch the machine over or anything like that. So right now I'm setting the cartridge overall length, or how far the bullet is seated down into the cartridge case. I started out longer than I wanted to be, and then slowly work my way down until I get to the desired length. The research and development staff, if you want to call it that, is more so a group of the entire cross-section of the company. You have guys that work in production all day that are contributing to those efforts. That's not their main focus, but the fact that their main focus plays into the aspects of research and development mean that they have valuable input that you probably wouldn't get from those more regimented kind of gatherings that you have at a lot of the companies that are out there. Who needs a great bullet? I would say everybody, depending on their application. It may be, let's say you're doing plinking or volume, target recreational shooting. Greatness may come in the form of value. Maybe you're stretching the extreme limits on ballistic performance and you're shooting a target that you can barely see with the naked eye. In that case, you need different levels of greatness. You need consistency and efficiency and things like that. So I think everybody needs greatness. It's just defined differently based on what they're doing.
So over here is a 300 meter range that we have. We do a lot of dispersion testing and a little bit of short range radar testing here. Jaden was loading up some .308 ammo for us to do. I've got my personal rifle here I use in TAC class PRS matches just to get a better idea of what stuff works for everybody and not just works out of one gun or one situation. Right here we've got our Doppler radar. So what this does, we use it to measure the drag of the bullet as it travels through the air. It does that by sending off a radio frequency, and what you end up getting is you get a line of that bullet from when it leaves the muzzle all the way till it gets to the target. What we do mostly here is dispersion testing. We'll shoot a bunch of different rifles. Whenever we make new bullets or new cartridges, all of those pretty much get shot down at this range. So we try to do as much testing as possible before it gets into the hands of the customers.
Right now we're doing a propellant test, so we're testing a certain bullet and cartridge with a couple different propellants and seeing what the effect of that is. And so we'll use information like that to maybe modify a bullet design, or maybe that will impact a factory ammo load that comes out, something along those lines.
Back in the day when I first started here, of course I had all kinds of motorcycles. I worked for the cycle shop at part-time. So I'd come in here and I'd go through the car parking lot, try to do grandstand around through the parking lot, ride clear out into the dirt. And when I started having children, my wife and I couldn't really pack them on the motorcycle anymore, so I sold the motorcycles off. And then years later, when the kids started graduating from high school, got a motorcycle and I started working on it, and I brought the gas tank in here to clean it up and do some work on it. And that was back when I was in my 40s. Now I'm in my 60s and still riding, so spent a lot of time on the bike when I was younger, so it's just a comfortable place for me to be. Free, it just gets my adventure mode revved up. Makes me feel free and, I don't know, comfortable. I just feel comfortable on a motorcycle, I guess. It's good to be in America. Free means that I can make my own decisions on what I would do and how I do it and where I do it. Well, as far as philosophy in life, you know, I think your character is better built by what you do and how you treat people.
Welcome to Hornady West. This is where the magic happens out here. At Hornady West, we do all the assembly, packaging, inspection, and shipping of our product. As you can see here, we're in the receiving area right now. These are all cartridge cases and components. They're getting ready to be fed into the assembly process for production. That's kind of the start of it. We have multiple trucks coming in daily to feed both our pierce and priming operation as well as our ammo loading operation. And that's pretty much a constant flow in and out of here. So
I live the American dream every day by getting up knowing that in my position, I help people. A lot of my job isn't just making sure that all of the ammo that goes out the door is 100% perfect. A lot of it is coming in and listening to your people.
this is one style of machine that we load ammo on, but we're running some 223 ammo right here. The way the machine works is you see the cartridge cases feeding up through the elevator into the hopper. We've got multiple detects throughout this machine. First thing we're doing is checking for the height of the case, make sure that our head space is accurate. And then throughout the process, we've got our powder feeding mechanism. And then when the ammo's, a finished product of ammo, we feed it into the inspection and packaging process. My favorite part of my day is interacting with the people. That's kind of why you get into a leadership role, is we really try to take care of our people here and give them the keys to success. So we're constantly trying to interact and figure out how we can make things better. And we get most of our good ideas and feedback from those people.
Okay, so as you can see on a lot of these, a lot of them are just dense. And yes, they're dense, they're not going to do anything, but they're not the level of quality that we want our consumers to get. So anything like this is going to be pulled out and put to the side so our customers do not receive that.
A lot of it is coming in and listening to your people and making sure that you understand their needs. And they're not just a number, they are a part of your family. I'm here with them as much as I'm at home. So if I'm helping them be successful, not just in their work life and their personal life, it gives me a lot of value in what I do.
I grew up in Grand Island, born here in '49, same year the company started. Had a great lifestyle, I thought. I remember how easy it was for my mother to dress us in the summertime because it was a white t-shirt and blue jeans and that was it. I think growing up in Nebraska was a really wonderful time. I think I had a pretty nice childhood, frankly.
If I had to describe my father in one word, smart. You want some more words? Oh, he drives me nuts, he's so smart. There's times when we're sitting in meetings, and you look at him and go, how did you come up with that? How do you know?
I love it. I've always loved it. I've loved it since I was a little boy and I come in here. I don't have any operational responsibility for what goes on here at all. But I do think I see how our company can proceed and the things that we can do to make it better. That's been my thing. We can do this better to improve our lives here, make our company stronger, make our products better, make our customers happier, make our employees more productive, make everybody get along better and be prosperous. And I love it.
You look at them and think they're all doing the same job, and they've been doing it all along. They were all manufactured in the 30s for the war and during the war. So is there some special emotional attachment? No, it's a machine. Not like your first truck, or the car where you conceive your first child. It's not really that.
What do you want for your children? What I want for my children is to be happy with life. I don't care what they do as long as they're having a good life and enjoying it and they're doing what they want to do. That's what more could you ask for your children? I don't see this as some sort of legacy, as something that has to exist into perpetuity. We're a very small family. My grandson is the last of the Hornady name, and I don't know whether he'll come here or my granddaughter will come here. Maybe they will, maybe they won't. But again, what I want for them is to be happy. Go have a good life. Go find what you want to do and enjoy it. If you're doing something that you love, it's never work. What more could you ask for? When my son was giving me a bad time today, he said, "Don't you ever have fun?" No, I don't, ever. But that's not true. But I find it hard to get out of here. I don't like to leave.
What's the most important part of Hornady? It's the people. I mean, I love these people. I love working here. I love my job. And I would just as soon hang out with them as I would anybody in the world. There's not a box of bullets worth an employee missing a baseball game. That's, we work to live, not live to work. And we try to make it as fun as possible. Why go to a job and be miserable? Let's make this as fun as we possibly can. But then they took a picture of me and put me on a dummy up on the front roof right out here, like Santa riding a sleigh. And, there's plenty of times it was one of those dumb rednecks doing out in Nebraska. I love being that guy. Shucks. We're dumb. We're in Nebraska. But I also like being the guy who's the dumb redneck kind of kicking other people's ass. Hey guys. Thank you. Oh, good.
Do whatever you want.
Appreciate it. So that's my friend John Beasley, who is their fantastic customer. Their local gun shop. They carry lots of our stuff, even though begrudgingly they still have some off-brand crap. We try to listen as much as we can, and when you get answers or a lot of times it's aha moments. If John says something about, hey, this packaging really stinks, then we're gonna go change it, and we're not gonna change it, for the next year. We're gonna try and change it for next week, and if it's not next week, it's gonna be next month. That's something that's really hard for a lot of companies to do, because they have so many people in between whoever's collecting the information and whoever's making the decision, and they're worried about budgets, and they're worried about issues or somebody telling them no. Well, my dad might tell me no, but I'm still probably going to go do it anyway, and I guarantee he goes and does stuff without talking to me. So, but that's a dynamic that we have that other people don't, and it's part of the fun of being a family business. John's in a family business. I'm pretty sure he does anything he wants around here and doesn't ask very many people. So, maybe.
How do you, Jason, want to be like remembered?
He was fun to have in hunting camp. Everybody's got their own hunting camp. It might be camping, it might be, Sturgis is going on, it might be the motorcycle rally, it might be whatever it is, See, I don't know why that got to me, but never really had anybody ask me. Told my kids, we're not having a funeral when I die, we're having a party. And I'd rather have people remember me as fun, hardworking, smart, cool, fun to have in hunting camp. Doesn't have anything to do with who shot the biggest deer or any of that. That's the memories are from the campfire.
Started at Hornady in 1983, got 40 years in. Never really would have thought that I would have stayed in one place for 40 years, but my previous employer was a large corporation. I mean, it was a very corporate, strict, rigid, shut up and do your job type place. Worked there 4 years, got laid off, They had a workforce of 1,100 people at the time. And time they got done laying people off, they had a workforce of 650. They didn't care who you were, how good you were at your job. They don't care. If your hire date was between this window and this window, you're out. That's the way it was. Back in 1982. In 1983, come to Hornady Manufacturing, and been great since. Having that job, being able to save money, because you're actually making something, you're not worried about whether or not you're getting laid off. And, getting married, starting your family, having your kids grow up, having your kids go to college, move away, that kind of thing. That's the American dream. Having a chance of being successful, but, it's not gonna be handed to you. You gotta work for it. I think I've done that. It's just like anything else. If you give a half-hearted effort, you're gonna have half-hearted results. I remember telling Steve this when he was interviewing me. I go, I wanna get good at something, and then you won't wanna lay me off. And he hasn't yet. He's threatened to fire me a few times. We always joke about that. But I think I've held up my end of that bargain. I've tried to get good at what I'm doing. Never have quit on it. Whatever gets thrown at me, okay, we're gonna get this figured out. And so far we have.
America, as most of us know it, is a place where you can walk down the street without thinking twice about your safety. You can travel across the country to somewhere you've never been and not really worry about your safety. And in most parts of the world and through history, that's not quite the case, and it's very easy to become complacent. I think one of the biggest contributions that Hornady gets to have, or the impact that they have, is the continuation of the Second Amendment in the United States. Like its true meaning and what it has done for freedom and opportunity and things like that. I don't think it can be denied that if you look historically, that's the bar on the door. And the fact that Hornady does a lot to support the Second Amendment, is a company involved with the Second Amendment activities, I think that's the biggest overall contribution. Because if that goes away, history tells us a very, very bad story.
We have such a good thing in America. It's the best economy. It's the most diverse. We have so much opportunity that really we should all shut up, pinch ourselves, and remind ourselves how lucky we are.
There's no question America is the greatest nation on earth. We are the nation of the world. That is the only one on the planet, the only one that will ever be, the only one that could ever be. That's what America is. I'm proud to be here.
discipline as it relates to, you know, individual success is paramount. You know, I mean, you can't be a CEO of a company unless you've got, you know, intense discipline. And I know that my responsibility every day, I've got to wake up thinking about how I'm going to make this business better every day. And I got to go to bed thinking about how I'm going to make this business better every day. And so that focus and that discipline to stay focused on one thing, and it doesn't matter what it is. You know, you can look at anybody who's accomplished, you know, regardless of the goal. They don't let anything get in their way. They don't let anything get in your way. The American dream to me is just being able to say, you know what, I can do this. If I really, really put my mind to it, if I really work hard, I can make this happen. And I think that's the beauty of where we live. I mean, we're not perfect as a country, but I'm going to tell you this, there's nowhere else I'd rather be.
Stevens water level recorders have been manufactured by Leupold and Stevens since 1911. Elmer Larson, hydrographic department foreman seen here, has helped build them all since 1917. They're a remarkable instrument devised to record on paper the level of a liquid and its fluctuations. A float is suspended from a pulley by a beaded line or perforated tape, beaded or punched so that it will not slip. The pulley is connected to a marking pen through a set of gears and a circlet of linked chain. As the float moves up and down, the marking pen is moved back and forth in direct proportion. The graphed paper under the stylus point is moved at the same time by a clock motor set at a constant speed, thus providing a permanent record of the rise and fall of the liquid below, the amount, and the exact time it took place. This is the Stevens recorder in its simplest terms.
So a brief history of Leupold and Stevens is fifth generation family ownership. So we're 116 years old, founded by Fred Leupold, who was an immigrant from Germany, came here, settled in Portland, started an engineering company, and he ended up with a partner named J.C. Stevens, so that's where you get Leupold and Stevens, who was a brilliant inventor. And they had a successful company. And then, you know, years down the line, Marcus Leupold, who's Fred Leupold's son, was working at the company, and he was out hunting here in Oregon, blacktail, and his rifle scope fogged up, which is really easy to do in Oregon weather, as you can imagine, and he said, I can do it better, and that started the whole idea of us really, you know, evolving to being a rifle scope manufacturing company. And so he did the typical thing you see great entrepreneurs do. He worked mornings and nights and figured out how to make this scope better than anyone else. And that was really the beginning of what we do today.
Well, this is a pretty cool little cutout here of a photocopy, but it's the oldest Leupold ad that we can find from 1947, highlighting our Plainsman rifle scope. The crosshair was made from Black Widow spiderweb silk, so it was laid into the reticle holder, and you can imagine the sub-assembly process with putting the different parts together, but in one corner of the assembly area there was a guy with a terrarium that would just simply be, you know, have a wrangle of different Black Widow spiders and extract the silk, and then they would lay that into the reticle holder, and that would hold up to recoil because that tensile strength of the Black Widow spiderweb silk is really strong. And we've come a long way in technology since having just a simple fixed 2.5 power rifle scope back then. When I look through these photos, there's a tremendous sense of pride and being able to look back on what my ancestors and other Leupold and Stevens employees have been able to accomplish over the years, and know that we're building on a legacy that was proven with great craftsmanship, machining capability, and using all the knowledge from all these products that have lasted over the decades to be able to highlight and just have the sense of pride that's there when you know some of these scopes are still out in the field and being used on rifles to this day. It doesn't matter if it's 10 years old or 70 years old. It's a Leupold scope, and it's gonna be lasting on your rifle through whatever punishment that it gets put through.
Generally, when we talk about optics, we're just talking about something that enhances a sight picture, whether it's a binocular or a rifle scope. What am I trying to look at, and how do I make it so that I can see that better, clearer, make it look closer, larger? So in terms of optics, that's what I think of when someone says, what are optics? Yeah, so at a basic level, a rifle scope works. You've got an objective lens up in the front, and then you've got the main tube, which is this part that I'm drawing here. In the middle of that main tube, you have your adjustments, and these are the things that we use to sight in. As you come back, there is a power selector ring here that lets you zoom, from 3 power to 9 power. And then it comes back to kind of an eyepiece back here. And so you've got this extra piece, an eyepiece. And so the image, the light comes in the front, it goes through the scope in here, and then it comes back to, your eyeball back here. Probably the most difficult part of the job is taking a highly complex design and engineering task and making it very simple to use in the field. So how do we take all of these things that we've known, we as a company, over the last 115 plus years, and make it very, very simple? We live this stuff day in, day out, eat, sleep, breathe optics. And for the people that want to get away and have that 1 week in camp, or the 200 days a year for the professional guide, how do you make that as simple and straightforward as possible? That probably is the most difficult part. It's also the most fun.
One thing I'm most proud of is that we make a product, an optic, that allows you to go wherever you want. I know our product's gonna perform in any situation. And yeah, we have a gold ring guarantee and we guarantee our product for life, okay? But you know what? I wanna make sure that you never have to use that guarantee. And so we have to make a rugged, clear optic that when you're on the top of the mountain or you're in Kazakhstan, that no matter where you are, that it's gonna work, right? Because FedEx doesn't show up there. And they just won't. So, okay, this is a different kind of beast than just, oh shoot, my iPhone broke, I can get a new one. That's a different thing, because when you're up there and you're in the middle of nowhere, it has to work. It has to perform. And I think that's something that we deliver, and I'm really, really proud of that.
Growing up, I didn't really grow up in an outdoor family, and so I didn't have that experience, but I've always been drawn to the outdoors and nature, and it's just a place to go to recharge and to get away from all the craziness of life. So connected now as a society, which is good in some aspects, right? But in others, it just seems like it's a never-ending cycle of notifications and messages and things to check and things dinging at you and bright lights. So kind of get back to the roots, and it lets you think and not have things think for you. My job here at Leupold is to use the products in the field. It's to engage with the consumer, use the products alongside the consumer to put products through the ringer. Long-range shooting is a combination of science and art. The marriage of those two things together is really intriguing to me and really draws me to the long-range stuff. So the first thing I'm really going to do is get the Kestrel booted up and make sure I'm on the right gun. I have different gun profiles in the Kestrel, but take a reading for the environment. So I put it to live, and then I'm going to spin it around so it can get all the different temperature, barometric pressure, density, altitude, all the things that play into your ballistics. So once it kind of gets an update of the environment, I'm going to lock it back in, and now I'm going to take a wind reading. So I'm going to go into the wind, and I'm going to capture my wind. So I feel like my wind's coming from this way. So I'm going to point that up there. Just take a couple seconds to get a reading. End my capture. So it's blowing about 2 miles per hour right now, but I have wind 1 and wind 2. I'm going to knock wind 2 up to 5, so I have a bracket anywhere from 2 to 5 miles per hour. And now we're good to go on our Kestrel settings. Now we just got to figure out how far we're going to shoot. What I'm doing out here right now is testing the product in the field where it is going to be used. We have all kinds of testing apparatus back at the facility, but nothing replicates having it out here in the wilderness and shooting where our consumers are going to go shoot and go use the product. So really important that I come out here, I use the product, and I deliver feedback back to the team about what's working, what's not working, what we can improve on, those kinds of things. I think it's just being genuine about the product and the lifestyle, right? Living the lifestyle. It's very apparent, I think, when you go up and you talk to the Leupold people, be it me, could be people on the hunting side, whatever it is, they're one of you. They're a consumer. They're buying all the same other stuff that you're doing. They're out there scouting all the time, or they're shooting matches, or they're going on hunts all the time. We love it, and that's just you can't replicate that passion, and it's non-negotiable. Like, to be on Leupold team out there, especially sales and marketing, like, you have to be passionate about the lifestyle.
One of the things that makes me most proud to lead this company is we give individuals the opportunity to get outdoors. A lot more folks that are spending time indoors and maybe on a iPhone screen or something like that. This is I think it's a legit issue that we have less people getting outside. I think if you look at mental health, people who get outside, I think you can prove, are gonna have a clearer, more focused, better outlook on life. I think there's data to prove that. If we can help in any way to get people outside, get them to enjoy the outdoors and get them to go achieve some goals that maybe they thought they couldn't, then I think we're helping in a small way to solve that.
I left the island when I was 9. My father figured it was a good idea to come to the United States for a better life and education. So my father left in the early 70s to the United States by himself, worked, and send money for the 3 oldest to come and help him work and save money to send for my mother and myself. There's a total of 8 of us. I'm very proud of my dad for bringing us here to the United States so we can have a better life. Working at Leupold brought me a different respect of how to help people. That's something that I learned, is that a lot of people, I had people helping me when I first came to the United States. So I try to give that when I work at Leupold. We have people that comes that English is a second language. I understand what it feels like not to fully speak the language. And I'm very passionate. That is my goal, to help people to be successful. We're in assembly. This is the black line, one of the lines that I run. It's very important that each team member know what they're doing. Understanding the work instruction is a very important thing. So that's one of the things that we work with the individual person, trying to make sure that they understand what their job is in each station. And most of these team members, they all know each station here. They work each station. So we're able to move around like every 2 or 4 hours, move people around so they can get a little break from what they've been doing for the first 2 or 4 hours every day.
We have a good team here. Everybody help each other. We don't just sit and wait.
Like she said, everybody's up and about and they help each other out. And that's why this team is very successful. It was a risk for me when I became a lead. At first I didn't want to become a lead because I know I have a lot of responsibility at home. And I didn't know if I can stay focused when I'm here at work, because I have so much responsibility outside of work. But my boss pushed me. She believed in me. She said, you can do both. When you're at work, you focus at work. When you're at home, you focus at home with your kids and your family. And that's one thing I love about this company is it's family oriented. It's everybody help each other out. I love how this product is made in the United States. I have a great passion for that. I'm very proud of this country. And I'm proud of what I do. And I come in every day, I'm ready, give it all my best with my team. And I have a wonderful team that supports me and stand right behind me and help me make it happen. The American dreams, freedom. I have the freedom to choose what I want to be. I have freedom to do things that I want. And that's why I love this country, because I have the freedom.
To me, coming out of a guide camp, and I was going to be an elementary school teacher, I never would have envisioned being here. And this company has allowed that, because if you work hard and you want to be part of something bigger, you can be. And to me, that is the American dream, being able to build a success for yourself and for your family and a stability, all in an environment that is loving and caring.
The American dream, it just means that you have the freedom to kind of make your own destiny. I'm first generation born in the US of my family, trying to have a better life and build that American dream. It really makes me proud to be American and embrace that, again, that freedom.
The reason that we make all of our rifle scopes here is I don't know what else to say except it's in our DNA. It's just in the core of this company, of the craftsmen that work here, of what we're about, of this American heritage, the family heritage that we have. It's just, there isn't another option. We have folks here that actually can take the product and go out every single day and either shoot at our range or go out and hunt. I mean, it's just a different thing when you have people who love and care about the product making it. And so I tell our team all the time, it is not about being the biggest, it's about being the best. If we do that, we're gonna do just fine.